Hello everyone. In this video we will be discussing about calcium. In particular in calcium we will discuss about the distribution of calcium, the relationship of change of pH with the distribution, means how any change of pH of the plasma affects the distribution of calcium in different forms. Also we will discuss in detail about hypocalcemia and its causes. Now calcium, it is the fourth most abundant element and the most prevalent cation in our body. Its distribution, it is 99% present in our bones or skeletal system as hydroxyapatite. 1% it is present in the soft tissue and only 0.2% is present in the ECF or the extracellular fluid. Now calcium exists as three physicochemical states in the plasma. 50% it is free ionized or the active form, 40% is bound to the plasma proteins, and as we know that albumin is the most abundant plasma protein, so 80% of this is plasma protein bound is to albumin protein and 20% is bound to globulin. 10% it is complex with different diffusible organic and inorganic anions. As calcium is positively charged cation, so it binds to different organic and inorganic anions like bicarbonate, lactate, citrate, etc. So these three forms, that is free form, bound to plasma protein and the various complex form, they constitute the total plasma calcium level. And the free form and the complex form are the diffusible form, and the plasma protein bound fraction is the non-diffusible form of calcium. Now how pH change can affect the distribution of the calcium between these three forms. Before that, let's see a concept. Let's understand a concept. There is a term called isoelectric pH. It means it is the pH at which the net charge over a molecule is 0, though it carries equal amount of positive and negative charge, but the net charge over the molecule is 0. So what happens when the pH increases, that is alkalosis. In alkalosis what happens? There is not, we do not define alkalosis as increase in OH minus, but it is as decrease in H plus ion. It is because pH is always expressed in terms of H plus ion, not in terms of or not related to OH minus ion. So in alkalosis what happens? H plus ion decreases. So we know that isoelectric pH, it is the property of proteins and amino acids. So and they also have a property of buffering action, means they resist the change in the pH, which is a very important property of proteins. So what happens? They will try to resist the change of pH towards going to higher side. As the pH is decreased, so they will try to donate the H plus ion in the surrounding medium to balance the pH level, so that it will again come back to isoelectric pH. So what happens? As it will donate the H plus ions, so the positive charge will go away and only negative charge will remain. So in alkalosis state, protein acquires a net negative charge, and similarly or vice versa during acidosis, as there is increase in H plus ion, so it will try to accept one H plus ion to balance or to decrease the or to increase the pH, or to try to move the pH back to the isoelectric pH. So what will happen? The net negative charge will be cancelled out with the help of H plus ion, which the molecule has accepted from the surrounding, and the net charge over the molecule will be positive. So remember one concept, that in alkalosis or when pH increases, the protein acquire net negative charge, and when pH decreases, the protein acquire net positive charge over it. So keeping in mind this concept, what happens? Calcium is a positively charged molecule, so it will bind to the negatively charged sites on the protein. So what will happen in alkalosis? There will be net negative charge on the protein. So as the negative charge increases, so the binding of calcium to the negatively charged side will increase. So the ionized fraction will decrease and more boundation or more calcium will bound to the plasma proteins. So there will be decrease in free calcium, means in alkalosis the free calcium or the active calcium decreases. The opposite effect is seen in acidosis, means what will happen in acidosis? There will be decrease in the net negative charge, so the binding of calcium to the negatively charged part of the protein will decrease and the free calcium will increase. Okay, so looking at this, vice versa occurs in acidosis, decrease in negative charge, so the binding will decrease to the proteins and free calcium concentration will rise. Now graphically representing it, this is the calcium concentration, this is the pH. As pH increases, the free or ionized calcium concentration decreases and the protein bound calcium concentration will increase, because as pH increases, the protein acquires more negative charge and the protein bound calcium concentration will increase. Means pH has an inverse relationship with the free calcium level. This is a very important concept. Now for each 0.1 unit change of pH, about 0.2 milligram per deciliter of inverse change occurs in free or ionized calcium concentration. Okay, means 0.1 unit change of pH occurs, then if it increases to 0.1 unit pH, then 0.2 milligram per deciliter ionized calcium value will decrease, and if the pH will decrease by 0.1 unit, 0.2 milligram per dl concentration of free calcium will increase. So while checking the or estimating the ionized calcium, pH should also be taken into account. Now coming to hypocalcemia, that is normal serum level of calcium is 8.5 to 10.5 grams per dl. Now hypocalcemia may be due to decrease in protein bound calcium or decrease in ionized calcium, or both. Means either or can lead to hypocalcemia, because total calcium level, what we measure is the sum of protein bound calcium, free calcium and the complex form to different organic and inorganic anions. Now coming to what are the various causes of hypocalcemia. Hypocalcemia can be either apparent or true hypocalcemia. Apparent means here no clinical features seen but the distribution is altered, and true hypocalcemia means here truly the calcium level has been decreased. So here the clinical feature will be seen. In apparent hypocalcemia, no clinical feature is seen because there is no change in the ionized or active calcium, which is actually the responsible for different physiological functions of calcium. Here in this case the free calcium has not been decreased, but here the ionized form of calcium or the ionic calcium concentration has decreased. Now hypoalbuminemia, how it causes hypocalcemia, we will see in detail. Now before going to that, let's see another concept. 1 gram per deciliter of albumin, it binds approximately 0.8 milligram per deciliter of calcium. It has around 30 binding sites. Albumin has around 30 binding sites for calcium. Therefore 1 gram per dl decrease in albumin will lower the total calcium concentration by 0.8 milligram per dl without affecting the ionized calcium concentration, and hence there is no signs and symptoms, because 1 gram per dl decrease in albumin, it affects only it lowers the total calcium concentration by 0.8 milligram per dl. But as ionized calcium concentration is not altered, therefore signs and symptoms are not seen. Now another term is adjusted or corrected total calcium. What happens here? The variation in the concentration of the compounds to which calcium binds can affect the measured total calcium concentration without changing the free calcium fraction. It means, as we have seen, calcium binds to various other compounds in the blood, so variation in the concentration of these compounds can affect the binding of calcium to them. If the concentration of those compounds to which calcium binds, it changes, definitely it will alter the concentration of calcium, or the 50, 40 and 10 percentage which we have seen, that will be altered definitely, and this variation will affect the calcium which is measured, and it will not change the ionized calcium concentration. Hence, what is adjusted or corrected calcium? This is the calculation which is done to adjust the measured calcium concentration. We usually use the term adjusted total calcium, not the corrected total calcium. but in practice only adjustment based on albumin is done, because albumin is the most abundant plasma protein, so it can be measured easily. Therefore any change which occur due to hypoalbuminemia is taken into account to adjust the total calcium concentration. There is one formula here. Adjusted total calcium, if we are going to measure in milligram per dl, is total calcium plus 0.8 multiplication or multiplied by 4 minus the albumin which is measured. The albumin should be in gram per deciliter. Now if we are measuring the total calcium in millimoles per liter, so it will be the total calcium which we have measured in millimoles per liter plus instead of 0.8 we have to apply multiplication factor 0.02. Instead of 4 it is 40, and albumin will be in grams per liter, not in grams per deciliter. So these are the changes we have to make if depending on the unit. And but the reliability of adjustment, it deteriorates with very low albumin concentration. If the albumin concentration is very low, then other factor will also be there which can cause hypocalcemia. So the using this formula will not give the true adjusted total calcium value. Okay, now hypocalcemia, true hypocalcemia, it can be seen in chronic renal failure and it can be seen in hypomagnesemia. In CRF or in chronic renal failure, hypocalcemia can be due to hypoproteinemia. We know that in CRF there is loss of protein, so there will be hypoproteinemia, and actually it will lead to loss of calcium from our body. And as we know that kidney are the site for synthesis of 125 dihydroxy D3 or cholecalciferol, that is active form of vitamin D. So in CRF the concentration of vitamin D is decreased, and we know that vitamin D plays a major role in maintaining the calcium concentration in our body. Therefore loss of, or in CRF there is decreased function of the kidneys, so there will be decreased vitamin D and the calcium concentration will be less. Now hypocalcemia in hypomagnesemia means low calcium can be seen in decreased magnesium in our body. The cause may be decreased PTH secretion, parathyroid hormone, because magnesium, it affects the PTH secretion in our body, and parathyroid hormone, they help to increase the serum calcium level, and also there is decreased responsiveness of the target organs to the parathyroid hormone. So these two reasons are seen in hypomagnesemia which can lead to hypocalcemia, but this effect is usually seen with very low magnesium concentration or very high deficiency of magnesium in the body, not in mild deficiency. This is not seen. Now the various clinical features of hypocalcemia are neuromuscular hyperexcitability like tetany, paresthesia, seizure, ECG changes, hypotension, tingling sensation around mouth, finger, toes. In severe cases, life-threatening laryngospasm can be seen. This is a life-threatening condition. In other videos, we will be discussing about analytical aspects of calcium. In analysis, how analysis of calcium is done in laboratory, different interfering substances, and also other details of calcium in other videos. Thank you.